Segue to our sponsors. This segue to our sponsor.
Segue to our sponsor.
This segue to our sponsor. And we're also doing this segue to our sponsor. Well, so is this segue to my sponsor. I never scalp my segues though.
But I do know it's time to segue to our sponsor.
Segue to our sponsor.
Segueing to our sponsor.
Segues to our sponsor.
But you don't have to settle for bad segues to sponsors.
You know what couldn't be better? This segue to our sponsor. Segues in.
This segue to our sponsor.
Segue to our sponsor. This beautiful segue to our sponsor. Speaking of swinging, I'm swinging right into this sponsor segue! After I change into my segue pants. Sponsor segue.
Just like this segue to our sponsor.
I out-segued myself. Segues I've ever done to our sponsor. Just like you guys eat up these segues to our sponsors.
The segue to our sponsor.
My segues to our sponsors. Just like there's nothing else like my segues to sponsors, how I'm gonna segue to our sponsor. To segue into our sponsor, just like you have very high expectations of my segues to our sponsors. A segue this smooth, just like my segues to our sponsors.
Just like I'm excited about this segue to our sponsor.
Speaking of unplanned, I should have planned a better segue to our sponsor. My segue to our sponsor. Segue to our sponsor. And segues to our sponsor is a segue to our sponsor. Speaking of basic, this is a really basic segue. My sponsor segues are hot. Not like I spoil you guys with segues to sponsors. And just like I tried to segue to our sponsor. And I tried, I heard it, to segue to our sponsor.
I haven't even segued to our sponsor yet. This is my segue to our sponsor.
You know what else is fast? The way I segue to my sponsor. But I am sure that this is a segue to our sponsor. But you know what I do recommend? Checking out this segue to our sponsor. It sort of goes from bad to worse. Just like my segues have over the years. You know what comes with our videos though? Every time? Segues to sponsors like Microsoft.